Hey, I'm Shaliss.
I'm Shaylah.
And this is our summer series.
So now this is part 2 of our summer series.
Dose.
The first video we talked about God's purpose in your singleness. So we're going to transition to God's purpose inside of marriage. Dum, dum, dum.
Yes. And motherhood.
And motherhood.
Marriage and motherhood. Okay, so just jumping right in. Shaylah, how long have you been a mother and a wife?
Well, I had a son prior to me getting married, so he's 9, so I've been a mother 9 years, and I've been a wife for 4 years. We just celebrated 4 years not too long ago.
Yes. And I have been married for almost 4 years, and I have been a mother for 2.5 years to a little boy.
Yes.
So yeah, between us, there are 3 children.
Yes.
And 2 husbands.
Yes.
And life is quite busy. And so knowing our godly purpose as women and as moms is super important, because any mom knows in general, or any wife knows that it's just a lot of responsibility. You are managing or helping to manage your household, your children's schedules, if you have kids, if you don't, like your work schedule, and whatever the case, making sure that you're spending time with your spouse. And you can get burnt out, because when you're single, it's like you just have, most of the time, just yourself to, not even most of the time, sometimes, because sometimes you're a single mom.
Yeah.
So you have less things to juggle. But being married and being a mom, and I'm sounding repetitive, but you just want to make sure that you are finding that balance and keeping your relationship with God thriving.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, okay, first and foremost, someone might ask, what is a godly wife? Or what is a godly mom or woman in general? And that is, I don't know, you definitely need to look in the Bible to find yourself, but something that's very popular is, or something well known, is the Proverbs 31 woman. And this woman just was doing it all.
Yeah.
She was handling business. So it's a very long passage. It's like Proverbs 31, 10 through 26. It's very long, but just, to note a couple of things. It says, a wife of noble character who can find? She's worth far more than rubies. She makes clothes. She gets up early in the morning and she cooks for her family. She runs a business. She sets about her work vigorously. She's strong, since her arms are strong for her task. So she's obviously, like, maybe a little
Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman-ish. She speaks with wisdom, and faithful instruction is on her tongue, which is super important. She's a woman of faith, and she is wise about her words. And she just is amazing. And I know for me personally, years ago, I struggled with finding women examples in the Bible, and I think it was more, kind of feminist and like, well, it's always he, but you really have to get in there and read and know that God is talking to all his children. Yeah. But there are some specific, very strong examples of women in the Bible for us to, get inspired by.
Yes.
Proverbs 31 woman is one. The Titus 2 woman is also one. That's an older woman. She is, it straight up says that she is not addicted to wine. She doesn't slander. She doesn't gossip. She's sober-minded, and she's wise, and she teaches women who are younger than her. And that's amazing, because then you kind of can see yourself as a younger woman and as an older woman in the Word, to kind of get a good example of what a godly woman and wife is.
Okay.
Anything to add? Because I just said a lot. I think.
No, I just think that sets the foundation to jump into some conversation.
Yeah. Okay, so what are some ways that you, I guess the basis is making sure that you are connected to God whilst being a mom and a wife. So how do you make time for God?
And this was something that I am still figuring out, but I've gotten better with, because I had my routine prior to being married, where my son was very young at the time, when he went to bed, like I had my nightly like worship and reading and journaling, and so I just could go on for a long time. But then like at night, because my husband's more like a night person, that's where, you know, he likes to spend time, you know, it's like, you know, conversation, watch movies or whatever. So I'm like, well, this is my time, but I was like, that doesn't work right now, so when? And I'm not like a super early riser, so you know, when. But I found what works for me is just to find like little nuggets during the day, like before we both rise, you know, our alarm, we set our alarm earlier before we actually get out the bed. So I might have time where I meditate and focus on God each morning. On my way to work, I listen to some praise and worship music. I put my earbuds in at work and listen to some things. On my lunch break, you know, I'll speak to God a little bit. So just, I guess most of the time, like when I'm driving or you know, in the shower. So it doesn't have to look a certain way. So I think just erase that out your mind right now that it has to be a certain way. Like, you know, the lighting has to be just right. You need to have candles, blah, blah. If you can set something else nice for yourself, go for it and do it. Yeah. You know, you have those moments, but don't forsake that special time because it's not how you want it. God didn't say, come to me, you know, with, you know, mood music and well-lit room. He doesn't say that. Come as you are. Yeah. So that's it. Find those little pockets. So I think when you can
that's
do
all
that,
you got sometimes. That's pockets.
Seriously, the bathroom, shower. I don't know. While you're blow drying your hair, brushing your teeth. Yeah. You know, you have time. You have time. It's just not. You know, it doesn't look like it though. You just have to make time and be intentional about it. And it does set yourself up for a better day and keeps yourself motivated and hopeful to be that godly woman in your household as a reflection of God's for your husband and your children to see and to be honored to have.
Oh. Yeah, that's true. Just making that time, because really you think about it, it's a relationship. It's not structured. It's not religious. When you really like know what it is with God, it is a relationship. And you can talk to him whenever. You can pray whenever. Like you said, brushing your teeth or in the shower. Because I have a toddler and he is pretty hype on level 10 most of the day. I mean, he's good. He's really good. But he likes to be with mommy and he likes to be up under me and stuff. He wants me to play with him. He's the only child. So I have to make sure that I'm taking that time. So sometimes I'll wake up I'll get out of bed before he gets up and, you know, read the Bible, or I get him situated with his breakfast or whatever, and then I'll sit and read for like 15 minutes or whatever and take notes. Journaling is good, like as you read, so that you can get it in, because sometimes just reading it is not enough, especially if you're, you know, you have to apply it to life. But jotting notes as you read and what you feel like in your spirit God is telling you, or what you interpret from that word, really helps to sink it in, so you can carry that with you throughout the day and you know, have it embedded in your heart. When are some other times that driving in the car, listening to worship music. Sometimes I'll be in there like on the brink of tears, you know, because that's like my time to really focus. Like when you're juggling your kids and stuff, your mind is in like, you're focusing on everybody else. And so to kind of tone that down and have one-on-one time with God sometimes takes a bit to get out of like serving mode for serving your family. And so, you know, I'll just be like listening to worship music and just like, oh, all this stuff is coming out because I'm decompressing. And it's therapeutic, like to spend time with God, to worship God as a mom. And it's definitely helps us to know our purpose as godly women, and in marriage and motherhood. Absolutely. So that goes into staying full, self-care, so that you're able to give to your family.
Yeah, don't try to be Superwoman or Wonder Woman. Like, yes, I mean, I think us as women innately, we want to take care of this. We want to make sure, okay, the baby's fed, we give him a bath, we feed him, we do this. Like, oh, our husband, we need, you know, he needs this, I need to make sure he
has
this together. Cook dinner, spend time, laugh at his jokes. And then, you know, but at the same time, it's just like, you know, it goes far beyond, you know, having our hair and nails done, though. Just making sure, you know, we're calm and cool and collective inside, because if we just push ourselves aside and making sure everybody else is taken care of because we want to, we desire it, though, but we neglect this important part. So it's just like, if you're not right mentally and spiritually, how can you be of any help to anybody else? Just like when you're on a plane, you know, they're going to do the instructions, and make sure you put your oxygen and mask on before you can help somebody else. That's what you're basically doing.
And that's not selfish.
No.
It's not selfish to make sure you're okay, because you want to be the best you and the best mom or the best wife or whatever. And yeah, make sure you're okay. Make sure that you're connected to the source. And for us, the source is God. Like, we're not perfect by any means. It's always a work in progress. Like, no matter who you are, life is a journey, not a destination, as they say. Cliche as it sounds, it's true. It's a journey. And so we're always learning how to do this thing. But yeah, I have to take time for self-care. And self-care in making sure I'm staying full is, you know, reading the word, having my praise and worship music or whatever, or being able to read a book or whatever while everybody else is doing their thing. You know, set the kid up playing with something, your husband's eating or whatever, and like you're over here reading a book, or I'm making sure I'm like hiding out in the bathroom, painting my nails, whatever. Like, take time for you wherever you can squeeze it in so that you don't burn out.
Burn out and blow up.
Yeah. And we don't need to be blown up.
No.
So yeah, staying full, making time for God, and also that kind of goes, this piggybacks on that of like knowing that your husband can't fill your voids.
No.
So if you have to stay full individually, because you know, sometimes people will think like, oh well, you know, you're waiting for your husband and he's just gonna like fill this space that you've had.
You complete me.
And it doesn't work like that. It really doesn't. Reality settles in that if you were, you know, creatures flying ahead.
Friend, little cameo.
If you were deeply insecure before, or you were like, there's a fly on the microphone, or whatever the case was beforehand, it's going to carry into marriage. So you have to make sure you have your relationship with God and you're settled, and your foundation is set.
Right. Because that's another way to burn yourself out. If you are dumping all this expectation onto this other human being, that's just exhausting for him, and it's exhausting for you, because nobody's ever going to fulfill all your desires except for God.
Right.
It's, you know, marriage is supposed to be two whole people coming together for a bigger purpose, to be more impactful. Marriage is a ministry. So anything worth having, you know, you will have your times like a struggle. You have to cleanse yourself out of things, hang-ups and dysfunctionness that was built up and created in your singleness, and you know, that will come out and get purified through marriage. And it's not this person to redeem you. Jesus is your redeemer. So know that whatever you're struggling with, your spouse could be struggling with too, and that you all will go before God to seek that fulfillment and wholeness.
Yeah.
Do not put that on each other, because
you'll cause strain in your relationship.
Yes.
It's very true.
Yes.
So lean on God, not on man. Okay, selflessness, serving. These are key words in marriage. One of the most selfless people I have ever known in my entire life is my mother. And she has been married to my dad for over 35 years. I don't know, it could be 37 now. But that she set a great example for me with selflessness. But also you have to be careful that you don't lose yourself in serving your family. Not losing yourself to people. Now, we lose, you know, ourselves in order to gain God, but if I worded that right, but you know what I mean. But to people, so yeah, selflessness. Can you talk about that?
Selflessness, just believe that you see the greater purpose in things, that you're going to set yourself aside to make sure people in your household are getting what they need. Because even though the man is the head of the household, you know, the provider, the protector, you are, you know, that also spiritual watchful eye that you can impart wisdom and faith there. So you have to be selfless, because their relationship with God depends on it too. You are a part of that. As far as ministry, man, I'm speaking faith over their lives. I'm speaking healing when that needs to be spoken and things need to be broken off. So I think it's important to just keep the bigger picture in mind, and so you could fill in the gaps where there are being filled. Because if you're not focused on the bigger picture, then all you're doing is focusing on yourself, and you can find an issue with everything and everybody, and that doesn't help anybody.
Basically just thinking with being selfless and thinking in the bigger picture is like, you have this family so that you can serve. It's like we're striving to be like Christ, and he was a servant. Even though he's king, he washed feet, and that made people feel loved. Like the greatest of all made himself the least. And there's so much strength in that, just being able to say, you know, put yourself in the back in order to serve others. But in order to be that and to do that, you have to go back to staying full, staying in relationship with God, making sure that your cup doesn't go empty, so that you have something to give, and then you're not burnt out. So it all goes hand in hand.
Because you're not going to jump up and feel like doing it anyways, though,
right?
But you have to get past your feelings,
and know that it's not all about you. When you get into a family, it's not all about you. My baby will let me know real quick. Like I might have wanted to get up and get in the shower and make my breakfast and everything goes smoothly, but he's like, nope. He don't want to do anything. He don't want to sit on the potty. He wants to cry. He wants to fight. So it just depends, you know. That's like an example of a moody morning. But like, it's not about me. I have to get out of me mode, and I have to think I need to take care of my family. Jesus help me. give me the strength to do it. Okay, so Shayla had made a really good point when we were talking prior to this about, you know, this conversation, that love in action is serving, right? Yeah. So that's something to keep in mind. Serving is love in action.
Yeah. Yeah. So that, like what I was talking about before, is not about what you feel like doing. You have to look at the bigger picture, because I mean, as an adult, I mean, how many times a day do we do stuff that we don't feel like doing? I mean, how many people feel like going to work like Monday through Friday, or even working overtime, or getting up, doing the laundry and doing the dishes? Like, oh yay, more dishes! Like, you know, I mean, if you do, I mean, that's your special gift. You know, you get excited.
You can come to my house.
Okay, come on over.
You can come to my house, and I won't pay you since you love it so much.
Right. But you know, it has to be an action, like regardless of, you know, even if you and your spouse had a little disagreement, and you know, it could be a little tension in the air, but
you're like, I don't want to cook dinner for him,
right?
But I love him, so I will anyway.
Yeah, you will anyways. You show an action, you know. Yeah. You're not there to stand your ground and uphold, you know, your opposition, and to keep on ramming that into his face. That's not your job, and that's not love. That's ungodly. So it's like you can get past a little disagreement you might have had about the toothpaste cap being off, and then escalate it and make sure that, you know, both of y'all can eat dinner that night, or if you had plans to go on a date night, like, I don't feel like going no more.
Don't it feel like the devil always comes when it's date night?
When it's date night, or you about to go
not
to church.
Always, but sometimes it's like, really, like this is supposed to be like a good time, and just like the small thing would just like set it off. But that's neither here nor there.
I mean, yeah,
it happens.
Yeah, it's comical.
Yeah, it's comical.
Type of things that could set you off. Doesn't take much. I'm just like, no. But it's just funny. But that's just, you know, serving just in spite of, and showing your love, because like I was about to say, like, feelings will set you up for failure a whole bunch of times, because if somebody, like, you know, you could say, I don't feel like paying my bills, but what's going to happen if you don't pay for where you stay? I mean, you know, do you feel like getting kicked out? You don't feel like that either. So it's like you have to do things because there's a bigger purpose to it. You know, you have a roof over your head, and you'll have like a husband that has like your love and admiration and respect. And I mean, speaking about what, you know, what men need, that's a whole other topic and whole other video though, but they really do need that love and admiration and respect. Like that's what fills up their love tank, you know, so to speak. And so we are showing that, like, in spite of, you know, whatever, we are determined to love them and show them that, no matter what. Like just how Jesus washed the disciples' feet, even the person that betrayed him, in spite of, you know, love never fails, love always wins. So just, you know, because the wash the feet of your household.
Okay. Yeah, that was good. Which rolls us into the comparison game.
Yeah.
Don't compare your relationship to other people. This is something good to know in marriage.
And you see, like, all the time, it don't take much. It could be somebody, like, you know, wiping somebody's nose on social media, say hashtag relationship goals. Like, it don't take much.
Like, oh, they love me so much, you would wipe my nose. Oh, I want that. I'm like, what?
It's like, you don't know, like, whatever your hashtag relationship goals. I mean, that's just your distorted perception. But, you know what I'm saying? They could have gotten into it 5 seconds before the picture, or they,
and
you know.
she was crying and her nose ran, and so he wiped her nose, and she was like, oh, wait, let me capture this, and like, and now it's hashtag relationship goals. So it's like, things can look really good from the outside, but you don't know what's going on behind closed doors or whatever. Like, life is not perfect, I guess, by our standards of what perfect is. Like, what is really perfect?
Life is not the Notebook.
Well, and even the Notebook was crazy.
Well, yeah,
she was slapping him.
Yeah, she did. So never mind. It was something else.
And even when she was slapping him, I was like, "Oh, that's so cute."
Hashtag goals.
Right. But that's crazy. Do not slap your spouse.
No.
Please.
We're not condoning slapping.
We're not condoning abuse. But yeah, like, don't covet or envy others' relationships, because you don't know where God is going to take you. You could be in a rough patch in the beginning because you guys are going through growing pains, but then, you know, a few years from that point, you could be on the other side of your prayers. You know, you're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. There's going to be growth periods in your relationships, and like, I've only been married for almost 4 years, like I said. So it's not like we're vets in the game. No. But having gone through the first year and having, you know, birthed a child and gone through, you know, those moments where it's like you're trying to get this new normal with your family expanding and things like that, you know that there are going to be times where there's like some friction or whatever, growth pains, like I said. And you have to just look to God. That's what I do. It literally gets me through every single thing, is having that faith that this season is for a purpose. This moment serves a purpose, whatever it might be. And it's all, what's the scripture? Like, it all works out for the good of those who believe. Yeah. That's just what it is. And like, you can look at every single area of your life that way. And if it's something that you're doing that's kind of destructive, like you're making negative choices to affect your relationship or your parenting, like you're just making poor choices, then you need to get that together. That's you. But you know, then start making good choices from a God-centered place.
Right. And that brings up a good point. So every time when there's conflict or issue or just something in the air and the environment's not right, stop looking to the other person all the time, because you have to look at the man in the mirror, the woman in the mirror. Right. You really do have to and search your soul, seek what, you know, what it is, because you're not as a single person, you're not challenged about your attitude or your tone of voice, because
24/7.
Yeah, it's you by yourself. Who's going to tell you that? The walls, maybe. I don't know.
I hope not.
Right. But, you know, the other person can call you on that, especially, you know, if it's in love and it's not no type of control going on, though. You know, it's to help and better your relationship. And, you know, when you see, you know, happy couples where, like, you see like a moment in time, like Shaliss says, I mean, every couple, no matter, you know, what high regard you hold them into, they go through their disagreements and seasons and rough times. You can ask them though. So, but the great relationships don't happen on accident. Yeah, it's with countless acts of intentional works. I mean, you know, you are intentional about praying together. You're intentional about, you know, your husband likes, you know, morning coffee. Maybe you'll make it for him. Or intentional about a backdrop at the end of the day. It's like it doesn't happen, you know, on accident. And because of that, because each person is intentional, put their best foot forward. No, it might not be perfect though, but we do love each other. At the end of the day, we're going to do what we can do for this relationship because it's worth it.
Right. And something that I have thought, like when I first got married and before I got married, I was just like, you know, I don't want to just get married, make babies and pay bills. Like God has purpose for us. We're coming together for something greater, and we don't know what it is yet, but we're about to find out. You know, we're going to let God take us there. And so just like seeking purpose together with your spouse is super important. Like my husband and I pray together throughout the week. We haven't done this in a while, but we would like read the Bible together, or choose like a book that we're going to study together, whatever. And you know, going to church together, whatever the case is, being intentional about seeking purpose in your marriage together with your spouse, not just by yourself, though you have to do it on your own as well, because you have your own personal walk. Nobody's gonna die with you except for the Lord, you know. But yeah, just seeking God's purpose for your marriage with your spouse, and he can have you do great things. I mean, it might just be where you serve together at church, or you might have an entire ministry, or you do, what do you call it when you travel overseas and you missionary stuff. I mean, anything, or just being that kind of couple that everybody can glean from, like wisdom, or like you'll pray with them when they need it, whatever the case, small or big. But, I mean, it's all important, but it doesn't have to be
mission or stuff like that,
right, on grand scale.
Right. You can, you know, the way you carry yourself and the way you reverence your husband while you're at work, people are like, oh my God, I guess I'm my husband again. But it's just like, if you can speak life to situation by what high regard you hold him up in, that's ministering. Because you know, people behind closed doors want to bash like their husband or their wife though, but like, you know, let's show the world something different. Right.
Yeah, be able to speak life into your spouse, and build that person up, because you never know what can come from you praying for your husband, you praying for your marriage, and you desiring God's will in your marriage. Like, great things can come from it. Yeah. So that's pretty much the topics. Is there anything that you wanted to add?
Well, quickly wanted to touch on the topic of submission, because that's a big hot button. So submission, I mean, that could be in a video on its own again. But
that's a tricky word that makes people uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's the word.
Sometimes it makes me uncomfortable.
Right, it makes me uncomfortable. I'm like, submission.
Submit.
No, because it's like me being, you know, I'm very vocal. Sometimes it can be a little strong-willed, stubborn, and so it's like, you know, coming to marriage saying I have to submit. I mean, my husband never dangled over my head though, but I know that was asked of me through the word, and so it's just like, that doesn't make sense. I mean, I want to be able to have my voice heard and yada yada yada, but it's not about that. It's not
a power struggle.
No, it's not a power struggle. It's not trying to create a dictatorship, you know, hierarchy, or, you know, it's my way or no way. It shouldn't be like that. And if you have the type of person, you shouldn't be attracted to them and want to move forward to marriage, because you know, it's not a mother, you know, a father-daughter relationship. You know, your partners. You know, the man is the provision, the leader of the household, but you have to, even if you have a strong personality like me, you have to pull back and allow him to be the man of the household, allow him to make those decisions, and he can't with you following him behind and doing that. And then you're basically saying you don't trust God. You don't trust that God has his hand on your household. You don't trust that God has his hand on your marriage or over your husband. You have to trust the God and spirit that's inside of him, and minister and pray and speak to that, not of what you see. Speak to what will be and what will come into existence, because you know, and that allows you to be more submissive. More so, you're submitted to the will of God in your relationship, not an imperfect human. Because, I mean, unfortunately, there's some dysfunctional relationships out there to where, you know, if your husband's not doing the right things, you know, being dishonest, stealing, lying, cheating, you don't need to submit to the will of that. I mean, you know, because that's ridiculous. That's a whole other thing, though. But you know, you have to, you know, let them make the little minor mistakes they want to do, because I mean, it teaches
none of us
them.
are perfect.
Right, they're learning and growing just like you are. Allow that, and help God develop him into the husband and father and leader of the household that he should be by you submitting. God hears you. He hears your prayers. He might even see the tears you may have and your frustration. Trust that and submit that to God. And then within that, you can, the love of God that rises up in you for him listening to you, and you know that will come to be. That's what you're submitting to. And that will allow you to focus on to be serving and a selfless person. The Proverbs 31 woman that we all aspire to be, because she's just dope.
Right.
In your household. So, I mean, that's the short end of what I can say about submission. You have anything to add about that?
Yeah, because I know that I've had moments where the word submission or submit just made me cringe, and I'm like, why does it do that? Because I do want to submit to my husband. I want him to feel like I trust him as the head of our household, and that I know that God put him in place. You know, God gave him to me to, you know, be a leader and whatever. So why do I cringe? And it's only because of the way the world made submit, or the way they defined it, and the history. I mean, let's just be honest, like, women have not always been treated so great, with men in control, and wanting women to just be quiet, or just, you know, not lead anything, just sit and hush, and it's
seen and not be heard.
Right. And it's like, no, God has purpose for us too.
Absolutely.
Obviously, we are fully capable.
Yes.
We are strong. We're wise, and our hearts are more tender towards the Holy Spirit in reality than men. So it's like we have, typically, let me not offend anybody, but typically that's the case. Like, we're just a little more tender. And so when we look at like the definition of submit by the word, it's not a thing to make us seem like we're under the foot man. It is to be a helpmeet. It is to trust that he is going to do what God needs him to do, and prayerfully he does that. You have to support him, and also, you know, husbands are called to love their wives like Christ loved the church, and you've probably heard that thrown around, but it's true. And if they don't know how to do that, then they've got some studying to do. They've got some praying to do themselves. But it's like, one thing that's super important in marriage is like, you don't necessarily want to love your spouse contingent upon how they behave. You know, it's like, well, I'll give if he gives, and I'll do this if he does this. It should be 100, should be. But if he's 70 because maybe he's going through a rough patch, then you should still strive to be 100. You don't want to like dull your light just because he's struggling.
70 years old.
No, like 70%. Sorry, we're talking percentages here. Not 70 years old.
I was like, what do 70-year-olds do?
No, that would be my grandfather. But no, like, you want to be still trying to perform at 100%, like loving him wholeheartedly, and because you have to answer to God.
Right.
Like, don't think that you have to answer just to your husband. You have to answer to God, and be that wife that to that man that God will want you to be. And it's all a learning process. It's all a juggling act, but it can be done. It's just like you have to take it a day at a time, stay in faith, stay prayerful, stay hopeful, make time for your word, like your relationship with God. And yeah,
but have fun.
Yes, have fun. And we're talking about the spiritual things. There's a thousand things that we can talk about around the topic of purpose.
Okay.
We're not God, we're not Jesus, but we are striving to live God-centered lives and make good choices and be good moms and wives, and share what we've learned. And yeah.
So, I mean, whatever came up as you were watching the video, please feel free to comment below. We love to hear from you all. And then we'll also put some information in the description box of how you connect with us online, social media and online.
Because we're on Instagram.
Yes, we all on the gram.
We on the gram. Though sometimes I'm like, Lord,
I'm not on it right now.
I'm about to delete this thing. Yeah.
That's a different topic.
But yeah, we'll show you how you can find us. I have a blog. She does a weekly newsletter. Like, we can stay connected.
Yes.
And we hope that you have enjoyed our summer series.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you.
All right, God bless you.
Bye-bye.